Yeah, and first of all, just want to mention, how great an atmosphere it was Saturday. The stripe out, we hadn't done that, I think, maybe since 2016, but it was awesome. Crowd was into it. Students were into it. It was great to see. Great college football environment and a great home field advantage for us. We'll need that again this week. Need everybody to come back out and support this team, and so we can feed off of you guys. Obviously our players love to see the excitement, and when they make a play and look up into the stands, I mean, it's just more fuel for that fire. So appreciate that. Going back to the game, I thought our guys came out great to start the game. I mean, that was obviously the biggest piece of the win, I think, is how we came out. Offensively, about as good as you can be in the first half. Scored on every possession, a lot of big plays. And I think we ran 40 plays in the first half. Obviously the second half was a little bit different. They had the ball 20 minutes. We had it 10. Our plays were basically cut in half. And some of that was on us with, obviously the turnover that we had there. Very disappointed in that at a critical point in the game where we needed to get some momentum back. We didn't do it, but overall, huge win, obviously. Got a lot of respect for Iowa State and Coach Campbell, his staff, and I knew, they're not going to lay down and, even though we're up 31-7, they're not going to quit, and they came back, and made it a game. And, credit to them for doing that and continuing to fight. Rocco Beck, man, what a fighter he is. That was one of the hardest hits I've seen, and I think he's out of play. I mean, he comes right back in. So, he's a warrior. But yeah, now, I mean, you put that one to bed. Moving on to Central Florida, and Coach Frost, got a lot of respect for him, what he's been able to do in his whole career coaching-wise. Does an incredible job. Central Florida is a team that we're very familiar with. When I was at Louisville, we played them a couple times, and then obviously played them since we've been here. A team, I think, every time we've played them, and it's always one of the faster teams you're going to play. And overall team speed, when you think about all three phases, you turn on the tape, those guys are rolling. And they play extremely hard. They play fast. They have a lot of talent. And, and they certainly have a team that can go out and win any game they play. I think, last week, Kansas, to get stopped on the 1 yard line, probably that game's going to overtime. And obviously we basically did the same thing against Kansas, had to score right there at the end. So, I think it's a very talented team. A team that certainly, after you get a couple losses, your back's against the wall, so they'll come out fighting for sure, within this Big 12 race. And for us, I feel like each and every week's a new season in this conference. Each week presents new challenges, and obviously the challenge is to come back and have a great week of practice and preparation this week against a really talented UCF team.
What is the challenge? It's young people, so that it can be
Absolutely.
unpredictable at times.
Yeah.
What is the challenge of two really emotional, really high-pressure wins to make sure that they snap back into focus and don't get caught maybe enjoying the moment a little too long?
Well, I just think, when you start a season, obviously the first 2-3 weeks, you're excited. Everybody's going to play hard. You're going to be focused. I think once you get into about the middle of the season, about the meat of the season, ever how you're playing, you feel like, oh man, you're just showing back up. You're showing back up. It's human nature. But when you get to this point, it's the teams that can show up each and every week. Because if you don't show up in this league, you're going to get beat. We've seen that. But it's showing up on a Tuesday, like today, for practice and making this our very best practice we can possibly make. You have to have that mindset each and every day. To bring it. You can't relax. As soon as you relax, somebody's getting better than you. Somebody's going to beat you. And so you got to continue to train with the chip on your shoulder that you have something to prove. And that's the challenge. I mean, that is the challenge, I think. But, I also think you go back and a play here or a play there, we're sitting here at 0-2 in the league. And how are you going to come and show up? I just think about that. I mean, we've last couple of years, we've been on the other side of that. And so for us to be here at this point, man, we got to show up, and today needs to be our very best practice that we've had.
Is this kind of like last year's game where the quarterback that you prepare for might not be the quarterback that you see because you really don't know?
Yeah, it's a good point. Last year, I think ended up starting a true freshman last year against us in that game. And, they've had some injuries at quarterback. They've had some guys get banged up. It happened again this past week against Kansas. But the quarterback that came in, he actually started the first of the year. So, I mean, he's a talented player. I think really all three guys can run. They all three can throw. I think they're dual threat, all three. So, as you're preparing for these guys, I mean, obviously you're going to prepare, for their running backs. Two guys I think can really run. And then the quarterback run game as well because they can run. And certainly, so you have to be able to make sure you got the guys where they need to be in order to stop the run. I mean, this is the team that can run the football. They've run on anybody. I think Miles is averaging maybe 112 yards in conference play. He's had some big runs, and we know he can run. We're very familiar with him. So, but I think as far as just preparing for their offense, I mean, you better know where you're at for stop the run.
I'm curious about Nick Cardwell because he's kind of him and Gavin are the common denominators between the two different offensive line groups. What makes him such a good leader in that group, and that despite the overhauls and the players and the adversity that you've gone through, you seem to have a better offensive line than last year when you had three guys drafted?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Coach Cardwell is a very passionate coach. He doesn't do anything halfway. I mean, he's 100 miles an hour all the time. He's a guy you have to say whoa instead of go, which I love. And I think Gavin is maybe the best leader I've ever been around. Three-time captain, been here 6 years. He committed out of high school his sophomore year, so he loves this place. And anytime you have your guy that loves the place that much and is also one of your best players, who is the best leader, that's what you want. That's the recipe for success. And so not only is Gavin the best leader on our team, but obviously with that offensive line, he makes them all do right. We brought in a couple transfers, and they slid right in. And then they're like, all right, Gavin, what we got to do now? And it's like every day it's that way. And he's just led that group at the highest possible way to lead. And I think Coach Cardwell has been lock and step with him as well in the same way. They take a lot of pride in everything that they do. And we all know offensive linemen, they don't really get to touch the ball. They don't score touchdowns. They don't get the big-time accolades. But if the offense is having success, then they get to reap some of those rewards. And that's what's happening. Our offense has been really doing well. We're running the football. We're throwing it. We're scoring points. And I'm glad to see that our offensive line are getting the recognition that they've gotten because I do think they've been playing really well. They're playing physical. They take pride in not giving up any kind of pressures or tackles for loss. That's what they're hanging their hat on, and that's really great to see.
They've been excellent. Central Florida's defensive line, also very, very good. Yeah. How much do you talk to your guys about strength on, like, good matchups to where they want to control the point of attack, we want to control the point of attack? The team that does it is in a good position to win. Yeah, I mean, it's a very talented defensive front that we're getting ready to play. These guys are long, got some big D tackles. They're fast. They're twitchy. Man, they create havoc in the backfield. And then their linebackers can run as well, and it seems like they're always keeping, 6 guys around that box right there, no matter what they're doing in the secondary. So, and that makes it difficult for the offensive line. Obviously we got 5 guys, and if they got 6, we got to figure out which 5 to block. And then when they're twitchy like that, it makes it more difficult. But obviously you want to establish the offense and defensive lines. I think anytime you can do that, then you're going to give yourself a great chance of winning the game. And I think really and truly, we love to run the football. We all know that. I think Central Florida does as well. So to me, that's a big-time matchup. Like, who can get their establishment up front will have a great opportunity to go win the game.
Scott, when you were first introduced as the head coach almost 3 years ago now, you mentioned that you have always had a fondness for this program from afar and all the success they've had in the last 20 years. Now that you guys have those 2 wins, start Big 12 play, including this past Saturday, are you really starting to feel like, this is why I came here to build something that this program has reached and you guys can get back to that point this program was at 4 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we want to be the best we can possibly be, but to me it's different because we're in a Big 12 now. They were not 4 years ago. I mean, this is a different level. It's so competitive when you get to this level. And for us to make that transition, it's nice to see. I've said this many times: the fruit of the labor that we've put in for the last 2.5 years to get to this point. But we've played 5 games. We still got a lot of ball left. This league, we played 2 conference games. We got 7 more games. I mean, there's so much can happen in 7 games. There's so much can happen in 1 week. We all know that. So, So for us, it is all about preparing each and every week, one at a time, and not thinking about all that other stuff. We'll have plenty of time here in a few months to think about, how this team's done throughout this season. But we're excited about where we're sitting right now because we are 2-0 in the league, and we want to be 1-0 after this week. And I think that's really where all our focus is, and that's where it has to be in order to be successful.
Coach, looking back onto Saturday, Christian Harrison had his best game of his season, 10 tackles on Saturday. What have you seen him develop as and his game grow as the season moves forward and his importance in your defense?
Yeah, I think from day one we saw Christian was going to be a valuable piece of our defense. He's very versatile. And we got 3 safeties back there, and I feel like he could really play all 3 spots if we needed him to. We ask a lot out of him. We asked him to come fit the run. We asked him to go, fit an alley in the pass game, but also cover a deep pass. So he's got to do a lot. You have to have a unique skill set for that. But I think more than anything, he's just mentally tough. He's a mentally tough player to be able to handle all the things that we're throwing at him. And he's a guy who really just leads by example. He doesn't say a whole lot while he's out there playing, but it was good to see him actually go out and play a great game Saturday, with the 10 tackles, and we're going to need that play out of him, and as well as the rest of the secondary. And I think, Iowa State put a lot of pressure on our defense. Obviously, they run the football, but then Rocco can throw it, and they got all these weapons with those tight ends and receivers, and I thought our guys did a really good job with that.
How much more attention have teams paid to Joe Royer? He doesn't have the targets, but every game he makes a crucial play key to that game.
Yeah, we obviously lean on Joe a lot, and I feel like there's times where you want to give him the ball and there's 2 guys on him and you can't, so he doesn't get the targets that you mentioned, and then other times like the big touchdown that he had, it was 1-on-1, and we got the ball to him, he broke the tackle and scored, and that's what we expect out of Joe. If it is 1-on-1, for him to go win that matchup, he is a matchup nightmare, I think, for defenses at 6'5", 255 pounds with soft hands. So what we're seeing is if they are doubling him, you're getting some single coverage from some of the guys outside, and those guys have been winning, which is great to see. I think it's one of the things that makes our offense, makes it good, is that we have a lot of different weapons. You think about Joe here, you think about the 2 running backs and those wide outs out there, plus Brendan that can run as well and throw it. That's just a lot of pressure that's getting put on defenses. And, when Brendan's making good decisions, then I think we're hard to stop.
How many field storms have you been a part of, and how surprised were you to see Ben Bryant pop up and shake your hand during the melee?
Oh, man. No, I don't know how many I've been a part of, maybe a few, but it's obviously good when you get in the field storm because you beat somebody good and you won. So it's very cool. It was great to see, obviously we've been here, this is the 3rd season, and we hadn't had a whole lot to celebrate, and that was good to see. I'm happy for our fans and our students to be able to celebrate that because, I think as a student, going to school here and you're participating at your school's games, and to be able to do that, that's the stuff you talk about, with your friends, and later on when you come back as an alumni, and, those are things that you remember and you talk about. So it's great to create some great memories for our students and our fans. So hopefully we have more of those.
You said you saw something on the post touchdown to Goody and kind of radioed into Brennan, look for this, it's probably going to be there. Is that like the best feeling as a play caller, to call your shot and just see it work out exactly how you saw it?
Oh, absolutely. You love it. And it's happened, many times this year. Kansas, I remember several. That's one of the great things about when we first started the communication device, people were talking about it. I don't feel like people have talked about it this year much, but that's a fun part of the device because, and we're no huddle, so we're going fast, and so we can talk to Brendan before he gets to the 15 seconds. And it's really cool when you can say, hey, looks like they're in this guy may be open. All it is a little bit of a clue. Or I remember at Kansas, hey, looks like field pressure's coming, have a plan. And then those little cues, I think, really help him perform at a high level. And it's so awesome to be able to have that because before we'd be yelling out, here comes field pressure, but it's hard to hear, So, but to be able to have that is awesome. And then you watch that ball in the air, and I was just like, Goody, run under it, man, go get it, and he did. So, but yeah, that's fun. But as a coach, when you put a plan together and the guys go execute it, there's nothing better. Regardless, there's nothing better than that.
Coach, when you look down at how the season has went, 21 straight trips to the red zone with being able to put points on the board, 17 of those coming by touchdown. You mentioned the weapons. Was there something that teams are doing to allow you guys to put the 7 on the board instead of the 3? And if so, what's that been like on tape with all those weapons?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we go into every game with a red zone plan, like we have in the past, and I think sometimes, it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I think a lot of times when you get down there, what makes it difficult in the red zone is there's bodies on bodies. And, because everybody tightens everything up. And so for us, we've utilized Brendan to be able to run the ball some, and I think that's huge. And then also you're going to get some one-on-one on the outside. We've been able to throw and catch some of those, which has been great. Sometimes the defense is going to win, though. Sometimes they're going to put a stop in there. But for us, we want to be aggressive because we think touchdowns are going to win games for you. If you get held to field goals, it makes it a lot more difficult to win. So we do want to try to push the ball in the end zone. The good thing about it, what we've been able to accomplish is run and pass, and it's not just one thing or the other. I think we've been able to do both, which is a great balance to have when you get down there.
Scott, I asked Brendan this on Saturday. In your eyes, what is the number one reason why you think he looks so much more confident this year than he did last year? Because to ascend from almost having a game-winning touchdown against Nebraska and then to ice the game against Iowa State, what are you seeing that has him playing with so much confidence right now?
I think there's several reasons. I think the wide receivers, to me, is the biggest reason. We've got some weapons out there. They can win one-on-one. He's got confidence in them, and it's really not just one guy either. We've seen several guys, 5 or 6 guys make winning plays on one-on-one. So that gives him confidence to know that those guys can make plays for him. I think that's the biggest reason.
Coach, you joked about it Saturday after the game about what Tawi ate for his pregame meal.
Yeah.
After watching that back on film, seeing him run with that kind of physicality all game on Saturday, were you able to kind of figure that out, what he had for breakfast there on Saturday?
No, I haven't asked him yet, but I'm just going to tell him just keep doing what he's doing because, it was impressive performance what he did because it wasn't just 1 or 2 times. He did it many, many times. He was running a man on a mission out there to prove something. But I do think it starts in practice with him and Evan too. Like if they practice like that, they finish off runs in practice, that translates onto Saturdays. It really, really does. And I think if you ask them that question, they're going to tell you the same thing. It's fun to see those guys compete at practice as well. Obviously competition makes everybody better, but if one guy's making a play, then he knows he's got to make a play too. And that's been a great 1-2 combination in these games.
You tell them not to run your own guys over like that?
No, but sometimes it happens. It happens, man. He's got his head down and he is going. And if our guys are blocking there, sometimes they're going to get hit, and bounce off of them and keep going. But that happens sometimes.
You mentioned Miles and being familiar with him. How has his game grown? Because he's having an outstanding year so far.
He's having a great year. Yeah, he's always had great talent. I remember going to Oklahoma State a couple of years ago when he broke off about a 65-yard run down the sideline for a touchdown. And, he runs hard. He's fast. Looks like he's breaking tackle, more tough runner, breaking more tackles maybe than 2 years ago. But if he gets a seam, he's gone. He can go now. And he's strong. He's big. He's 200 pounds, and so but I think number 5 maybe, the other running back, he can go as well. That's what stands out when you watch this speed.
You had a lot of recruits last game. I assume you'll have more coming up against UCF. First off, what's that mean when you play a game like that and win? And then if there is a highlight film that you send out to the recruits, is it safe to assume Tawi's shotgun number 14 is shot number 1?
Yeah, that made the rounds on the internet, that's for sure. I saw. It just means what it does, it shows these recruits come in, and a lot of times it's the first time they've been here, to be able to walk out in Nippert and see that stadium, to see how awesome the participation was from our fans, to see it striped out is great, to see the excitement of the fans game day, and then to see our guys making plays, because these recruits always visualize themselves wearing our uniform making plays, and so they want to see our guys make plays. And then to get the win, and so they can see that celebration and see the joy on our guys' faces. I think that's huge for us. I think 6 or 7 committed guys were here, and they were in our locker room after the game, just watching our guys celebrate. So for all that, it's very, very positive. and then we follow that back up, with phone calls last night. I mean, we're talking to a ton of our recruits. And so what you just try to create is that momentum that these guys want to be a part of something special. And in moments like that, create that.
Iowa State was 4 for 16 on third down, 4 for 7 on fourth down. What did you see there from your defense? And is that just kind of, if they get 4 chances at it, the probability that they're going to extend drives is a little bit higher?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a positive. I think the fact that we put them in that many third down and fourth downs. I mean, that means they're not having as much success on first and second down, which that's certainly a positive. And then our third down defense was really good. Part of their fourth down probably in some certain situations, probably their kicking situation. But I think they were 100% coming into our game on fourth down. We held them 3 times where they don't get a first down, and that's huge for us to get the ball back to our offense. Huge play on that, was it 4th and 1, I think, by Golday there and making that stop. So, we learned from that because we had that the week before against Kansas and we didn't stop it. So, but I like the number. If teams are having to do that many third downs and fourth downs, I think that's a positive for our defense.
Coach, after the game, you had a lengthy conversation with Jeff Ruby by the locker room there. Were you able to celebrate that victory on Saturday with a dinner at the steakhouse?
No, I didn't. I was not. My ritual is just I go home and sit on my back porch and watch college football. And my wife brings in. We get some burgers and stuff at the house. But man, I'm relaxing, man. Thursday night's our date night. So potentially this week, Thursday night, we may slide by Ruby's.
Scott, you've talked a lot about how wide open this Big 12 is. From your perspective, when you were at Louisville, Clemson was dominating that conference. But here, it's been wide open every season. What's the shift in mindset for you as a head coach with your team, comparably speaking, to Louisville and now here?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just allows every team in the league to think they have a chance, and I think, back then in the ACC, if one team was on top and just dominating, it's almost like, man, you're playing for the next spot, which is not as much fun. I think when you have the parity that we have in the Big 12 and where everybody's vying for those positions and every game matters, like every week matters, and that's the cool thing about it. And these teams, even though these teams, get a loss or 2 losses, they're still not out of it. Because, last year, I think everybody had at least 2 losses throughout the season. So everybody just keeps playing it, but that makes these games more competitive, I think, each and every week. So that's why, to me, the Big 12 is one of the more fun conferences in the country to watch.
Does any environment in this conference compare to what you experienced at Clemson?
Yeah, I mean, there's some great venues here, man. I mean, Texas Tech last year was awesome, I thought. Kansas State was awesome last year. I'm sure we're going to go to Utah this year. I'm sure that'll be great. BYU 2 years ago was awesome, 75,000. So, yeah, there's some great venues that we get to play in this league.
Christian, is it just a matter of it takes a little time to get acclimated, game days, to a new defense, a new scheme, kind of a new system, and then maybe Saturday was your breakout performance where it's starting to come together?
Yeah, I feel like with this defense over time, it takes reps to kind of make plays in the defense. So I feel like obviously I'm taking a lot of reps. So over time, it's just helping me make plays and, be out there and doing something. So, yeah.
You had back-to-back games, Jalen Daniels, Rocco Beck, 2 outstanding Big 12 quarterbacks. This week you don't know who's showing up. So how does that affect what you do?
I mean, all 3 quarterbacks bring different things to the table, each of their quarterbacks, but at the end of the day, the focus is on us and what we're supposed to go out there and do. So it doesn't really matter who comes out. At the end of the day, we're going to come out and do what we're supposed to do, handle business. So
You had the Simeon play where he got ejected, and then the Logan Wilson play where he got the unsportsmanlike conduct. Obviously, you don't want to see those penalties, but if you're honest with yourself, is there a part of you that likes seeing the defensive players play with that edge, flying to the football and hitting hard?
Yeah, obviously, big hits on both plays, especially on Sims' play, but there's a balance between playing physical and kind of crossing that line. So we just got to know where that line is and, play up to that line as much as you can and don't go past it. So, yeah, but it's great seeing guys play physical and do things like that. So,
how much fun was it? You guys get the big win Saturday, and then Sunday night you watch the Patriots beat the Bills, knowing your dad played for them. How much fun was it to watch them knock off the undefeated Bills?
Yeah, it was great. I had a feeling they was gonna win. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, it was great seeing them come out and get a big win on Sunday night. So yeah.
Christian, obviously a season high, 10 tackles for you on Saturday. Walk us through the environment. Obviously, the stripe out, fans rush the field. Talk about the environment on Saturday.
Yeah, it was a great environment. As soon as the clock hit 0, all the fans come running out onto the field and stuff like that. But during the game, obviously loud, disrupting the offense on 3rd down, 4th down. So it was a great environment, and we hope to have that again this week.
So McDoom almost had an interception. We saw the replay. Is there one coming? There's got to be one coming.
Yes, definitely. Just I try, not to go out my way to make plays, kind of let it come to me, because I feel like when you try to do too much, that's when, not bad things could occur. So I try to let everything come to me. But, yes, big plays on the way.
Jake Golday's had a season to where he's trending towards being one of the best defensive players in the Big 12. What have you seen from him on the field, and have you ever played with a linebacker his size, talent, effort level that he shows?
Yeah, his consistency every day. He's always in the building, whether he's watching film, getting extra treatment, extra work. So seeing him show up every day in the building and talking to everyone, it's no surprise that he's out there balling. So he's going to continue to do that.
Was it the tight end matchup? Was it something where you knew they used a lot of tight end activity that you're like, all right, maybe I got a chance here to really kind of be a pest in this game, especially 3rd and 4th downs?
Yeah, they had multiple tight ends that were big guys, and they loved to target them. So I kind of knew going into the game that was going to be a focus for them, trying to get the ball to their tight ends, trying to box us out or whatever, use their body and size. So, yeah, and I just take that as a good thing when they're trying to target us. That gives us more opportunities to make plays.
How much hype do you get as a defender when you see Tawi do what he did a couple times?
Yeah, he's a beast. We've seen it a couple times during camp already, him running guys over and stuff like that. So it's fun to watch him, and he's been out there making plays.
Not you, though.
Nah, he ain't do that to me. Nah.
Obviously, you see Tawi kind of set that tone early on Saturday. Did you guys know after that first run of his that this was going to be a physical matchup? Obviously, he set the tone there. He pinballed 2 to 3 different defenders on his first run. Did he kind of come over to the sideline after that and say, this is going to be a physical matchup, or I'm going to set the tone early?
Yeah, he came off the sideline, hyped up, amped up after making a couple plays. But we kind of knew going into the game it was going to be that kind of matchup. It was facing a good Iowa State team that plays physical, smart. They don't make many mistakes, so we kind of knew what type of game it was going to be going in. So,
what could you tell that Iowa State did differently in the second half, schematically? Was there anything, or was it just they picked up their intensity because you diced them up pretty good in the first half?
To be honest, I think it was just they brought their guys a little lower. Their box was a little bit more crowded. And then their guys were playing the sticks a little bit better, weren't dropping as much. So they made some good adjustments, but at the end of the day, we still shot ourselves in the foot in the second half, the turnover, and then the penalties on that one drive. So we just got to find a way to avoid those mistakes, and I think we'll still be fine.
I think you guys are averaging like 39 a game or something like that now. UCF just played with Kansas. You played with Kansas. Do you think this is the way the Big 12 is just going to go, big scoring, crazy games?
Yeah, we've been saying it from the summer and before that, the Big 12 is a very competitive league. Anybody can beat anybody, so we got to be out there, ready to go on Saturday, executing at a high level if we want to win this game. And UCF's a really good team, so we got to be ready to go.
Talked to Coach Satterfield about him calling his shot on the post, and he kind of said that one of the cool things about the ear-to-ear communication is just being able to tell you cues and stuff. What's that been like him kind of describing the matchups? And is there times where maybe he says a little too much and you're like, hey, can we relax and just let me play?
There's never really like a relax and let me play, but he really never says too much. It's always just little tips and stuff like that. But, other than that, he just lets me go out there and play. He's giving me the play call and letting me go do what I do. So, no, I appreciate the little tips that he does give, but it's never too much. Sometimes I wish I could talk back, but, that's not an option. So, no, but I appreciate it for sure.
You faced a really good defensive line in terms of pressuring the quarterback with Kansas. A lot of that was stunts and running game. Central Florida, from what you've seen on the tape, are they pretty much more straight up? Like they got their 4 dudes and they let them go and get after the passer?
Yeah, no, they got 4 good pass rushers and they just let them go to work. So we got to be on top of our execution and what we do, and we got to have the run game going. We got to have the pass game going to slow those guys down. However, we need to do that. So they're a really talented team, really athletic. So we got to go out there ready to go.
Brendan, we heard after the Nebraska game that you kind of entered the Bowling Green game with the chip on your shoulder. Over the last maybe 5-6 weeks or so, what's been the mindset going through? You obviously playing the best ball of your career. People are starting to take notice in the Big 12 as being a guy who is kind of not talked about as much this offseason compared to other quarterbacks. What's been your mindset over the last 5 weeks to be playing at this level?
Really just continue to trust my guys. Nothing changed, really from the week of Nebraska. Nothing really changed preparation-wise. I feel like I was prepared for Nebraska. It was just a really tough defense that we faced. And, just each week by week we're trying to find ways to improve and get our playmakers the ball. So I think we've done a good job of that. And then we just got to continue to attack each practice with the mindset of getting better and finding ways to improve. I think that's what we've done a really good job of these past, 4 or 5 weeks. And we just got to keep doing that because this league is really competitive. If you don't come out there and you're not ready to go, you'll get beat. And, we got to be ready to go for sure.
Their quarterback position for next week is not set yet, but you were teammates with Taven Jackson, right?
Yep.
Okay. Anything you can tell us about him, or are they pulling you into the film room to say, what's he do here?
No, they're not pulling me into the film room, but no, I talk to Taven, pretty regularly. I'm not sure if he's going to be good to go or not. I'm sure he's probably not going to give me that information if he is in or out. So, I'm just checking in on him, making sure that he's good. Coming from a previous teammate, I have a lot of respect for him. He's one of my good buddies. So, wishing him a speedy recovery. Whether he's able to make it back this week or not. Yeah, but I don't know if he's going to be able to go or not this week. And they're definitely not pulling me in there to try to get the inside scoop.
Is there a part of you that wants him to play so you can beat him and kind of get back at him for beating you out in that QB competition?
Yeah, no, for sure. He texted me earlier this week, like, hey, hopefully I can make it back for us to be able to play against each other. But at the end of the day, hopefully, regardless if he plays or not, he's able to make the trip down and we'll be able to see each other and everything. So I got a lot of respect for him. He's one of my really good buddies, so I'm excited to see him.
How does it feel standing behind the now 3-time Big 12 Offensive Line of the Week, and does that alleviate any pressure for you knowing that you'll be protected by them?
Yeah, 100%. You would rather them be able to protect you and be winning Offensive Line of the Week than not. So I love those guys up front. They take really good care of me. I got to continue to return the favor in some shape or form. So those guys are doing a really good job up front. So, hats off to those guys and their preparation. And, they're a really talented group, and they're playing really well together right now. So we just got to find a way to keep it up front. Yeah, it's not cheap, but I think Jeff might be coming through. So we'll see.
So they've won this award 3 times. And so when you take them to eat, is there extra dessert involved?
Whatever those guys want, especially if they keep winning, and I'll do whatever. So that's a huge reason why we're winning the games right now is because the way they're protecting. So whatever that cost may be, I'm willing to pay it.
Any other questions for Brendan?
They got steak nuggets at Arby's now.
Really? Yeah. Big Arby's guy, me. So might have to try those out first before I can take the big boys there.
Brendan, Coach Thomas was pretty fired up after the game on Saturday. Walk us through your relationship with Coach Thomas and how excited were you to share that moment with him on Saturday as the fans rushed the field?
Yeah, they were one of the first teams to believe in me in the portal. And, whenever I came here, it was my first visit, and I knew it was the place I wanted to be because of the relationship that I had built with him. And then just grown since then. So really excited and happy to share that moment with him. He gets me ready each and every single week. And then this entire staff in general, they deserve it. So we just got to keep finding ways to win for them.
Finally, when the fans were surrounding you Saturday, what was Zach Stipe whispering?
I usually tune Stipe out whenever he's trying to give me points and tips and reminders of what to say. I usually just try to wing it now, and I don't listen to him too much. I always give him a hard time, and we go back and forth. But no, he was just trying to get me out of the crowd after the interview. I think that's what he was there for more than anything.
Jalen, we've talked about it before. It's been kind of a long journey through the injury and getting back on the field this year. How rewarding was seeing that kind of pay off and playing the way that you did on Saturday in a big win?
It was great for me because I'm finally doing what I've always wanted to do. To me, I feel like I'm proving that I belong here, proving that Coach said allowed me to come back for a reason, that I'm still good. I'm not just a good way to put it. I'm not used goods. I can still do what everybody else can do, even with this being my 7th year.
Dante was a little emotional after the game, talking, and he pounded the podium several times, and said people been giving the team a hard time. Do you think people don't realize that you, Dante, Micah, none of you played the entire season? I mean, Corleone played some, you played some, but yeah, I mean, the entire defensive line starters are back, and they weren't back last year. Just the difference that's been.
Yeah, I feel like with us being back, it's just a difference. I feel like everybody can feel the difference within not just the team, the D-line room, the defense, the defense in general can feel the entire difference with us 3 being back. As far as just the leadership as well, too. We make sure the guys under us is ready just as if they're the starters, because we all know football is a dangerous sport. It's always a next man up mentality.
See, you've got some braces on your wrist. Is everything good and looking good for Saturday?
Oh, no, yeah, I'm good. It's just little sprains, nothing major.
Gotcha. The whole defense seemed like they were playing with some swagger and some edge, from Simeon Coleman to Logan Wilson to you guys on the front getting in the backfield. Is that something that is new this year that you've kind of sensed and that you didn't kind of sense about the defense in 23 and 24?
I wouldn't say it's new. I say just that this year we have all the puzzles. We have all the pieces of the puzzle, and they all fit together very well. And it all goes back to the off season. We all train with each other. Like how Coach Nico does, we don't train in our position groups. We train with other groups. So with me, I've trained with Sorsby. I've trained with Joe. So we all build that connection and difference in the offseason, and that just led to the season.
Jalen, you mentioned what this season's been like for you. Obviously, you feel like you're able to prove to yourself that you're still able to compete at a high level. To reap the benefits of Saturday, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, arguably the best game of your Bearcat career, then to see the fans rush the field. What did that mean for you? Obviously, you've been through a lot through your playing career. Walk us through what that moment was like on Saturday to kind of see everything come full circle.
Honestly, I told my mom, I jokingly say it was nice to be on the opposite end of being rushed for once, because I remember vividly 2021. I was at MSU. We played Purdue. We was ranked top 5 and we lost. And then that field, they rushed the field so quick. It felt good to be on the opposite end of it for sure. And then you're right. That was my best game of my Bearcat career, but that's arguably my best game of my entire career in general, because I feel like here and now I have every piece backing me up. And that's including the coaches, the players, and then it's also nice to have somebody like Dante. I've seen what the path can lead to if you just stay consistent and trust, no matter how many downfalls you had.
How much do you guys look internally and say, look, we know Dante is going to be great. We know Jake is going to be great. Now it's on some of us to step up and support that. And you and Christian both did that, exceptionally well on Saturday.
I think it's big because simply we know for the other teams, they're going to game plan around those 2 guys. So if other guys can step up, that's going to make their jobs a lot easier, which means it's going to make the defense a lot easier, because then we're going to have open-ups for Dante, open-ups for Goldie. And then when they start getting double-teamed and planned around, that's when other guys, they can step up.
What's a defensive lineman say when he sees Tawi do what he did to him?
I've been in football for 7 years. I've never seen that before. Never. Twice. I didn't know it was the same guy until they showed the clips online. I never know it was the same guy.
3-time offensive line of the week. all the work in the offseason, having to replace the talent that you had to replace on the offensive line, how vindicating is that you guys have been able to pull through? And at any point, did you look over to Kendra and DT and John and kind of, we're better this year?
No. Obviously, I think I've posted some stuff on social media about how much I really enjoy this group. I think every single one of them has messaged me about that and with crying emojis and stuff. But I love those three, and it was awesome for them to be there. This group is special, I think. I think we've done a great job communicating. I think as the season goes on and as it has gone on, we've gotten better at a lot of things we've done. And that's the goal, is to continue to improve every week, and we've done that so far.
Were you able to see what Walker did to that young man or not?
I saw the one. I didn't see the most explosive one, or the one that's blown up everywhere. I was blocking somebody at the point when he did that, but I did see the other one clear as day. I was trying to jog to him and saw him run the kid over. But I mean, what more could you ask for out of a running back? Trying to get yards for us to help us win ball games. And then everybody in that room has done a great job.
On the illegal man downfield calls, I could see you were kind of expecting to make contact with somebody and then just kind of ran out in front. With Terran's, what's the read on that play? Because obviously it's like Brendan's going to run, then he sees Noah downfield. Was that supposed to be an RPO kind of thing, or was that just?
It was. Yeah, it was. And we have another play out of it that is supposed to be handed off. And Terran in his head, that was a play we put in this week, and in his head he thought it was that play. So he, saw the linebacker trigger, thought that either something happened with the ball or, Sorsby took off running, which that's what the point is, for him to sell the run. And he did a very good job of that, but Terran he messed up a little bit. And then mine, obviously, I was trying to get two hands underneath the defensive lineman, Big Dominic, and he moved me. And I did stumble for 5 yards, and then I looked exactly at the referee. He looked at me, tossed the flag on the ground, and knew that immediately that was coming back. So.
Gavin, walk us through the play where Brendan takes that 20-yard touchdown run, because he told us after the game he's never had a run play where it kind of parted like the Red Sea and there was that much grass in front of him. He kind of stated that he was low-key feeling himself, high-stepping into the end zone a little bit. Walk us through that play a little bit.
Yeah, I think we did a great job on the front side of pushing everybody and getting one-on-one. We were all pretty much one-on-one. The linebackers, it was short yardage. Linebackers triggered real quickly. So then I obviously came off on the play side backer. Evan took the nose guard. And then the nickel actually ended up playing over top, and then that's really who it should have been one-on-one with him and Brendan. He over-pursued, and then it opened right up. So it was a perfect play for sure.
The stereotype on offensive lines is pass blocking offensive lines are a little bit more finesse. Run blocking offense, the teams that are good at run blocking are a little bit more physical. How have you guys been able to walk that line of being good at both, at being good at the finesse parts of pass blocking and also creating holes that Scott could run through sometimes?
Yeah. And I say this so many times, it starts with Coach Cardwell. There's not a better coach in the country, and I really mean that. I've had 3 coaches. I love them all to death, all the O-line coaches I've had, but by far the best in the country and the best I've ever had. He instills a lot of things in us that, and technique-wise and the strike system that we use in pass pro, it's more of an aggressive pass pro. You got to get your hands on the guys, and it's helped us tremendously. It'll continue to help us, but it all starts with him.
Who do you think had the most impressive film on the offensive line from that game? Because Terran had a few madman plays to where he was like, I think he literally throwed Tyree Walker like 3 yards forward.
Yeah.
And then Joe had probably the pancake of the season when he pulled on one play. So who on that line did you see that really impressed?
I think I played well, but I think I'll never take credit. I think all those guys played tremendous. I think Joe has never really pulled, and that was a kind of a question going into this week. So that was awesome to see him do that. But Terran's been a freak. He's always chasing the ball. That was kind of me and Kendra's thing last year. And then as soon as he got here and throughout spring ball, I knew he was going to fit right in when it came to that. And then Evan's done tremendous too. And Deion's done good too. He's got some stuff he needs to clean up, obviously penalty-wise. He knows that. But I really couldn't pinpoint one. I think those 3 that you mentioned have done really well.
So you're a captain. When the flags are flying like it's a paintball game out there, what can you say?
Just take
How
a deep
verbal are
breath.
you?
Yeah, just take a deep breath. And I got to tell myself that, especially after my penalty. Obviously, we need to get those things cleaned up. But the fact is that we can overcome those is great. But we shouldn't have to overcome so many times, and we've had to do that. And that can cost us down the line. So the whole team knows that, especially the offense that knows that can cost us down the line. We got to clean those things up. But I pulled the guys together, take a deep breath. If we execute what we need to do, we'll be fine. Give Brendan time. We make holes for the running backs. We'll be just fine.
Against Kansas, they did a lot of stuff to trick you up front, stunts and loops and delays. When you see Central Florida on tape, it looks like more these are our guys, and we're coming at you. How much different is that for you, especially as you're calling the protections and everything, knowing these guys aren't going to do a whole lot fancy, but they're super talented and long and quick, and you have to be assignment sound.
Yeah, it makes it easier for me to make the protections, obviously. But then that's where technique comes into play even more. And that's something we're going to harp on this week because they're going to look the part for sure. They're going to come out there. They're going to be long, athletic. They're going to be fast off the edge. They got some really good DNs, some good D tackles too. So technique-wise, we're going to have to hone in on all those details this week and really, really work on those things.
Gavin, you came back for your final year of eligibility for a reason and a purpose for this program. You've been through a lot through your career. You've seen a lot through your career. Where does Saturday and the field storming, the stripe out, rank among the moments in your career?
It's up there. It's up there for sure. Obviously, my first 2 years were unbelievable. Really wasn't a part of it much. I played 4 games my second year, but really wasn't out on the field. So it's definitely top 1, top 2. It's up there for sure.
As kind of the vocal leader of this group, how do you approach this week to let guys know can't get out ahead of ourselves, got to stay focused? We won 2 big games, and that's important, but there's a lot bigger things remaining here.
Yeah, I think that's something I'm going to definitely do a lot this week is instill the guys, and tell them we got to take it one day at a time, one practice at a time, and one practice at a time, especially leading up to game day. And Coach Stat and Coach Nico have been big on it, being a process-oriented program. Throughout the offseason, we'd always break it down on Dallas or defend the nip and our team goals. But more now, it's transitioned to, can we take this play serious? Can we worry about this play, this practice? So just make sure I communicate to all of them. I'll make sure I do that for sure. Thanks, guys.
David, I'll be right back.